I'm particularly pleased to be here today to speak about pension plan investment in hedge funds and private equity. It's such an important issue. Millions of Americans rely on defined benefit plans for their financial well-being and retirement, and it's particularly important that plan fiduciaries choose wisely in investing plan assets to assure that plans are adequately funded today and in the future. My testimony focuses on the extent to which plans have invested in hedge funds and private equity, the challenges they face in making such investments, steps sponsors can take to address the challenges, and measures government can take. My statement updates our 2008 report on this topic. First, the extent of these investments. The frequency of DB plan investment in hedge funds has grown dramatically, with 51% of large plans holding hedge funds in their portfolios today, up from 11% in 2001. Yet the vast majority of these plans invest less than 10% of their assets this way. The picture is a little different for private equity investment. Although 90% of large plans invest in private equity today, over 70% of them did this in 2001, so this type of investment has been consistently fairly common, at least among large plans. But as with hedge funds, most plans do not concentrate their assets in this form of investment. Let me turn now to the challenges these investments present. Although plan fiduciaries have told us that they invest this way to diversify while gaining potentially significant returns, they face several major challenges. Foremost, the uncertainty over the current value of their investment. Unlike stocks and bonds, which have a readily determined market price, hedge fund and private equity investments are more opaque to investors. Hedge funds generally do not provide information on either the nature of the underlying holdings or the aggregate value on a day-to-day basis. Hedge fund managers may decline to disclose information on asset holdings and their value if they believe the disclosure could compromise their trading strategy. Similarly, private equity investment valuation is often uncertain during the fund cycle, which can be up to 10 years or more. Plan fiduciaries often won't know the value of the underlying investment until the holdings are sold. Investment risks are also greater than for more traditional investments. For example, hedge fund and private equity managers may make relatively unrestricted use of leverage. While leverage can magnify profits, it can also magnify losses. Further, the success or failure of these funds can be greatly affected by their managers. Obviously, a managerial investment mistake can cause losses, but there are also operational risks of mismanagement, such as internal control weaknesses that open the door to fraud. And this underlines the importance of annual audits, which encourage robust operational and internal control processes. Finally, these investments are generally illiquid, making it difficult, if not impossible, for plans to cut their losses in the event of mishap. While the DB plan sponsor is responsible for assuring plan funding levels, not the participant, as with 401ks, a significant drop in funding could ultimately affect the viability of the DB plan, and by extension, the retirement benefits participants have been promised. Plan fiduciaries told us they take measures to protect themselves from these risks by making careful and deliberate fund selection at the front end. But of course, the success of this approach depends on how good the fiduciaries are at such decision-making and how much information they have going in. Savvy fiduciaries negotiate key terms of investments with these funds, specifying fee structuring conditions, valuation procedures, redemption provisions, and degree of leverage to be employed. Some told us they look to funds of funds to expand their diversification, although these are often less transparent than single hedge funds and can come with an additional layer of fees. So there's a lot to be considered as a plan fiduciary seeking to invest in such funds, and we think the federal government can help. In 2008, 2 years ago, we recommended the Department of Labor provide guidance on the unique challenges of these investments and outline prudent steps plan fiduciaries could take. We felt this could help all plans that consider such investments, and in fact might warn smaller plans away if they don't have the resources to carry out the oversight that is needed. We still believe that this would be an important contribution for the department to make, but although they said they would consider the feasibility of our recommendation, they've taken no action as yet. I'd like to conclude by noting that plan sponsors are facing tremendous financial pressures, both overall and in maintaining funding levels in their DB plans. Congress has provided temporary relief from ERISA funding rules, but the pressure to achieve high returns on plan assets has got to be significant, especially if a failure to achieve such returns means higher required contributions from the sponsor. It will be increasingly important to help fiduciaries do the right thing by making them aware of the risks associated with alternative investments, as well as ways to manage their stake in these investments. Guidance from labor and better information from the investment managers themselves cannot, of course, protect plan assets from poor decision-making, but it can better armor fiduciaries and, by extension, plan participants against large losses resulting from a poor understanding of what they're getting into. And that concludes my statement, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.